Okay, guys, I am so excited to finally announce our podcast. I have been waiting for this moment for a really, really long time. I know that I talk to you guys on TikTok often, and it's a lot of short form content, and I wanted to do this podcast so we can really go in depth and give you guys so much knowledge on the semaglutide background and everything that I've been doing with LH Spa and Nurse Meg. So we brought them on today, and I want to introduce you guys. We're really looking forward to giving you guys a lot of insight on just everything that we've been covering through the last year. If you don't know this about me, I've been taking semaglutide for over a year now. I was on it consistently for about 6 months and then lost all my weight, got on a maintenance program, and I've been working with them ever since. So it's been amazing, and I want to introduce you guys to these amazing people who have gotten me where I am. This is Suzette. She is the founder and visionary of LH Spa in Madison, New Jersey and Livingston, New Jersey. And this is Nurse Meg. I call her Nurse Meg. I am going to let you hear her many hats from her, but you tell them everything you are.
So my name is Megan. I am a family nurse practitioner. I do have my doctorate from Rutgers University and my bachelor's from Rutgers University. So on paper, it's technically doctor, but everybody calls me Nurse Meg or Nurse Practitioner Meg.
She's and you're a mom.
Nurse Meg. And she's
a mom.
Two beautiful little
Got the
girls.
mom hat on too.
Yes.
So yes, also a mom.
1,000 hats. I think we all wear 1,000 hats, but yours are more official than ours.
Yeah, they're all written on my jacket.
Yeah, literally.
Stitched on my coat.
It's a paragraph. But the whole point behind this podcast is really just digging deep into semaglutide as a whole. We have literally in the last year and a half gone through so much, the three of us together. They started this program, and just a little backstory. I was literally at Suzette's doing her hair one day, and I was like, you look amazing. She got so thin, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, semaglutide. I'm like, isn't that like what the Kardashians do? Like, I didn't know that people can do that. She's like, I have it. Like, we can get you started. Yeah. So I did my blood work, went through the entire onboarding process. Is it called onboarding?
Yeah.
That's like a job.
That's an onboarding.
Onboarding.
Yeah.
And
screening.
Yeah.
A screening. Made sure everything was good. And I just want to go into all of that with you guys so you know like what the program looks like, because it has been life-changing. And like when I tell you that this program changed my life for the better, like it really did. Right. I lost 30 pounds, so I'll say that, and I have kept it off. I just hit a year at my goal weight, which is the craziest thing ever. I have never, ever, ever hit a goal weight and stayed there for honestly longer than 3 months. Thank you. And it's not as easy. It's not just like a fix and it's like done. It takes a lot of work, but for the most part, it really, if you do it the right way with the right people, with the right support, there is like so much potential. So I want to let Suzette explain a little bit about LH Spa as a whole, you know, kind of just what they do, and the LH Lean program, which is what it is called.
So LH Spa has evolved a lot in 13 years. We started as a lash boutique, and then we became more of a med spa, adding different services like laser hair removal, skin tightening. We do advanced facials. We have won awards for Morpheus being a top provider. And in the last year, we have taken on semaglutide and something called the LH Lean program. And we have perfected it, in my opinion, because we dot our I's and cross our T's. First, do you want to start first? What we do is we have an intake form that you created.
Yes. I created a lot of this when there were only about 10 to 30 patients. So I was personally working with every patient myself, start to finish. So
It was crazy.
From the ground up. So a patient would say they were interested, and then they would direct the patient to myself, and I would kind of take them through the whole process alone. And obviously that's not the case anymore. So we have kind of streamlined the whole process from A to Z. Did you want me to go into?
Well, yeah, because one of the things, this is not something that you can make a consultation, you come in, like we basically screen you before, and then you have to be green lighted. So we require blood work. The intake form is pretty in depth.
Yeah.
You know, information about yourself, and then you get green light into the program, and then we see you for the first time.
So I have a question.
Yes.
This is pretty big that I always get asked on TikTok. I didn't even say this. If you don't know who I am, my name's Ashley Raibick, and I started this program with them and took it to TikTok.
Correct.
TikTok is where it really blew up. And that was kind of where all of the experiments came from, because I had so many followers asking for help and guidance because they
Correct.
weren't receiving it properly. And then that's now where I want to take this with you guys with the podcast. So I just wanted to get
We're
that out of the way.
shifting from a consumer perspective to consumer perspective, but also with a little medical twist to make it more, not patient-specific medical advice, but obviously people want we're excited with your responses.
Right.
We don't want to just have, a Wikipedia, Google response. So it is nice to back it up.
Right. And I get on TikTok and I can talk for 10 minutes. That's the most I'm allowed to go in depth and really share everything with you guys. And to be able to have Meg here, I can only talk about experience. I can't talk about the medical side of things without obviously people coming from me, nor do I want to. So most of the things I run by her before I even make a video on it. So we just wanted to get all of us here so you can ask literally everything and we can keep posting it for you guys. But what was I going to say? Oh, I had a question. My question is, do you guys check for a specific BMI? I feel like I hear that across the board. Yeah. I know it's not always the most important thing.
There's a couple things they check for, which are really important.
That's a hot take response, and I'm going to get some backlash on it. And I actually spoke about that on my professional account, that it's a gray area. So I don't look at BMI. You are not plugging in your height and weight for me to say, oh, Ashley's not a candidate. Her BMI does not meet the requirement.
Because I don't believe mine did.
Yeah,
I don't think my BMI met it, and I haven't talked about this on TikTok because I wasn't ever 100% sure, which I don't know why I never asked you. But it was more for me we knew I was not in my weight range. We knew that I was above where I was supposed to be.
I looked at your body fat percentage, and that is what has always set us apart and will continue to, because when you are cash pay, we can spend that much more time with you.
Correct.
So in a doctor's office environment, these providers are dealing with a plethora of medical issues, right? So they're handling every chronic illness in the book, plus your acute illnesses, right? So you go in for an appointment, they're getting you on that scale, they're measuring your height, and they're just going off of that because they have to. That's how they're reimbursed, that's how they bill, that's how they code their diagnoses, and that's why the brand name of these products is we're meeting resistance, because they have to go off of that BMI requirement.
Right.
It's a height and weight. That's all BMI is.
Right. Which is why people want to talk shit about a med spa, but the med spas are the ones that are going to give you this in-depth luxury treatment where doctors kind of
they can't. And I feel for them, because I myself could have been in that same realm, being an FNP by trade. That's why I didn't feel comfortable there, because I saw the rapid turnover. Right. It reminded me of an ER.
Is that why a lot of the insurance companies don't want to cover it?
Because they have to go off of the BMI and the diagnoses. There's only a few diagnoses that are covered, and if someone just looked at you on paper and didn't look at a DEXA scan or a body composition, which would include your fat mass, your muscle mass, your water weight, if they're just looking at height and weight, you guys could have two totally different body masses in terms of your fat mass, but if you're the same BMI, that's all it shows, and that's where...
Which is why having an in-body is
Correct.
so
important.
Yes.
That
your
machine,
body fat percentage was what made you, in my opinion, a good candidate. Females, you want to see less than 30, ideally 28% or less. And I will be very honest, I don't have a factual, I don't have a factual list of how many patients that we see that are meeting that requirement. It's most.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's so sad, because that's what matters.
Yeah.
Your muscle mass matters too, but your body fat mass, it's actually alarming how many patients are made up of anywhere from 30 to 50% of their body weight is body fat.
Wow.
And that's,
America.
concerning. It's concerning. Just to summarize in general, I do not have a BMI requirement. However, if you get on our body composition device and we do find that you truly don't have fat to lose, or it even suggests you need to gain body fat, I do not feel comfortable proceeding with that.
Okay.
Now,
so your thing, instead of checking an actual BMI, there's other things you check to make sure they're a good candidate. You're not just looking at someone like me and saying oh, okay, you could lose 5 if you want.
Yeah.
Because how many people have messaged me saying, oh, do you think that I could get on it and lose 10 pounds just before my wedding, and then that's it?
Right,
and I'm like,
you have
listen,
no idea.
You may be able to. They may say no. I know that you guys always make a decision based off of the best thing for that patient, and it is not a one size fits all. And I think that's something that's so important and not everyone realizes, which is why I don't talk about dosing and all of that. I'll always share my dosing, but I can't do conversions, and
correct.
It's a whole different thing. So why don't we talk about what you guys offer as far as the medicine goes. So it's a semaglutide compound, and
Tirzepatide.
you offer tirzepatide as well.
Yes.
And then now we're testing out the oral.
Correct. Oral semaglutide.
And we're also testing out.
Tezofensine.
Yes.
Okay.
Which, like, totally different class of medications with the tezofensine. And interestingly enough, that was a Parkinson's study drug.
Wow.
I'm actually really fascinated by this because this is one of those, just because this is a real question. You cannot get on semaglutide if you are on a
SSRI.
Right.
Why?
No, you can. Why would someone do tenzofensine?
So tezofensine is good if somebody
I say
doesn't.
everything wrong.
Tenzofensine.
It's okay. That's what I'm here for.
This is why I need.
So the tezofensine is a nice option if a patient is either not responding to semaglutide or tirzepatide, or they don't want to inject themselves. It's an oral medication, and it's a daily medication, so they have to commit to the daily dosing, and it's also very much in like trial testing. It's not something, which is why you cannot just typically get it as like a brand name from a pharmacy. Right. It's a compounded medication as well.
Only available
because it's off-label. Right. I'm not 1,000% sure. I haven't tried to order like through a regular pharmacy, but I do know that it was originally being used for Parkinson's patients. Once they realized it wasn't helping with those symptoms, they were like, this is interesting. They're losing weight. Why? They studied the pathway in which it was working, and that's why they noticed that was successful.
Do you feel like, what do you feel is the biggest difference between semaglutide, tirzepatide, this one? Like, overall, if someone was coming to you, overall, what would you kind of look at to decide which one you would recommend them to?
I always make sure they're comfortable with injections. I can't take that fear away from you. I will say most patients come in very nervous.
Me.
They're holding their breath, they're guarded, they're like backing up away from me, and I get them, and they're like, this was nothing. No pressure. Do the consultation. Let's see how you feel about it, right? They had to get blood work to be here. So if you can get through blood work, let's just talk about it.
And that's something we should make super clear. Never any pressure. We are not here to convince you.
No.
We never
I'm
try
not a
to convince.
salesperson.
We are not salespeople. We are providing a great service, and we are available if you want us.
Yeah.
That's
I'm educating, and that's...
But I'm going to go the sales route because I can, and I will say that although they're not pushing anything, obviously, you want to do this with a reputable place. And I can't even tell you, like, my DMs are constantly flooded with like, hey, I don't have the proper guidance. What would your nurse say about doing this? And it's like, is it really worth it to save $100 and not pay to have the person with all the medical background and the support and all of the knowledge? Like, you have access to them basically what feels like 24/7. Any waking moment, you can get in touch with somebody. With the nurse email,
you basically do.
Yeah. And we've built a whole team thanks to this program that we didn't have. Like I said, I was originally kind of piloting it myself because I could. And as soon as we started growing, I said to our medical director and Suzette, I said, I need assistance because I want to continue to provide the same value. And I realize I'm a sinking ship. I can't do it alone, which is not a bad thing.
No.
Right after New Year's is when I remember last year.
Well, and
it blew up.
So I had started posting it January of that year, and it started to, like, people were talking about it. Like, we really were like
pioneers.
I
know.
I allowed myself to be a full-blown guinea pig. Like, I was like, do whatever you want to me. Like, I will help. Like, we learned, all of us, like, I never thought I would learn the things I learned about the medical.
And to speak to that, a lot of it was word of mouth. Like, my original patients, they trusted me. They understood that I have a medical background, but that sometimes using, although this is not a new class of medications, which I will say 1,000 times a day, it's not a new class of medications. It's been around for decades. It was new to me in this setting. So they trusted my guidance, and obviously knowing Suzette, a lot of them were friends of Suzette's or friends of yours or friends of just...
That's how we were friends.
They trusted the process.
It's also, you trust it because you see results.
Right.
You've seen success stories. Like, we're talking about it, we're communicating, like, and that's the thing too. This was shamed when I started. I was putting it all out there.
You were the shame. Away from diabetics.
Yeah, and I took it. I was like, you know what? They could say whatever they want. People need this medication. It is necessary for some people. And if I could make it a little bit easier for you to feel like you are doing something that's good for you, like, this like I've said so many times, this changed my life, and it's changed the lives of so many people around me, parents, friends. Like I am like so thankful for it.
Most of our patients are like, the fiance will come in and then like she'll finish the program, and then I'll see a random male on the schedule.
You're like, oh.
And they come in and I'm like, hi, welcome. You know, I know this isn't necessarily the setting for you. Just know this is a safe place. You know, we have men and women of all ages, all shapes, sizes, you name it. And they always say right away, oh, my fiance already did this. They had a great, and she tried it out, and now I'm here. Or we get the mother-daughters, the husbands and wives. I mean, how many times have we been like, no, you cannot do a group consultation? Like they'll try to come in as if it's like a social hour, because it became finally something that they weren't afraid to share.
My dad's like obsessed with them, like absolutely obsessed.
I just saw him.
He got off and then he went back on, and it's like, I just feel like once you, so I will share that part of it. My whole connection to it is like, everyone's like, are you ever going to get off? Do you want to stop? And I'm just like, I don't have any intentions of any of the above right now. I am a better version of myself being on it. I am happier. I'm confident. The food noise for me was a constant battle. I was literally like depressed looking back on it. I would get in bed and I'd be like, oh my God, I ate too much today. What am I gonna do? Okay,
I wouldn't want to go to like
day.
the water park or
no,
go to
you don't. I didn't want to do
because
anything.
I knew I'd eat because I love food trucks.
Right.
And if a food truck was involved,
you were gonna be there.
Willpower.
Yeah.
And this is we were blessed to live in like a food mecca of really the world. I mean, you go to Italy and you're like, it's great, but like we also have very comparable food here.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a crutch. It's a support system. Everything has become socialized around food and alcohol, and it's. I do think that food is great, obviously, but I also see the other side of it, where this is making people feel okay with eating things or indulging once in a while in things they would be so afraid to indulge in the past, because they would immediately associate it with guilt and shame and talking badly about themselves, and it's affecting your kids, it's affecting the people around you. They hear you.
And this is the reality of the world now, right? Like our social settings, like you said, are food and alcohol. Everything revolves around those things. That was never changing. So for so long, I was like, oh, you know what? I just have to get through this part of life. Like I just have to, this one's getting married. I have this vacation. Let me crash diet. Let me do isogenics. Let me do Weight Watchers. I have done so many things. And it's like, at what point do I actually gain control for the rest of my life?
And not yo-yo.
And
just
not yo-yo.
Be consistent.
And this is where I'm at right now. I am at a maintenance area of my life in every aspect. I'm comfortable, I'm happy, I feel good. Getting off of it is just like not in the cards right now. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm also still under her supervision.
And that's the difference, is you're tolerating it. I don't see a reason at this point to pull you off.
Right.
I'm not afraid to do it if I have to.
Right.
But it's a conversation, it's a contract, right? It's an agreement. I don't mind keeping patients on a maintenance dose if they're responsible with it and they don't overuse it.
And I haven't lost a pound since last March.
Correct.
So I've consistently, I've gone between 4 pounds. So I was like 127.8 when I lost it. I never got under that. And then the highest I've gotten since that moment was like in the morning, I was 132. Right? And that was just a rough week of eating, or, you know,
hormones.
Period. Exactly. There were so many things that made me fluctuate. But so many people will say, like, at what point, you know, my doctor's like, you hit maintenance. A lot of these people who are going through insurance, they're getting kicked off because they're no longer at their BMI. And then I get the message, like, can your med spa do it for me?
All the time.
And it's really common. So, okay, if you can get insurance to cover it, absolutely.
By all means.
Go do it. That's amazing. But there's always a route after the fact for maintenance with you guys too.
Correct. We do now, and that's what we've started seeing more now than ever, is in the screening form immediately, which is great. They're putting in their past medical history or their medications, Wegovy, Ozempic, semaglutide, tirzepatide, whatever it is. And I'm glad they're disclosing that, because I don't want you to come in and say, you know, I've been on this for X amount of months at the maximum dose. I'm not going to say, well, you have to start back at zero.
Right.
Obviously, we need some type of communication.
Right.
And I think that's important to communicate, that we will see you. Once insurance kind of kicks you off.
Yeah.
And I actually do see the frustrating process of getting it approved. We have many patients who they hang on with us because a provider is ordering it through their insurance, and they're like, I'll just wait until it's covered and approved. It's months later.
What
and
my
they're
dad
still
just
coming
went
to
through,
see us.
I don't know if you talked to him.
Yeah.
His cardiologist told him that he needs to go on it. He was like, absolutely. My dad had done it before, got off of it, was like, I can maintain myself. He's kind of someone that I personally, not that I have any background, but I think he needs to be on it for life. I think like he is a foodie to the core, and he gets like a little bit of a belly. So it's like, that's like the unhealthiest weight to gain.
Your trunk fat.
So I'm like, Dad, I want you to be healthy. I want you to feel good. Like, you need to stay on this, whatever. So he gets his cardiologist to tell him that he can go on it. He goes, he's like, perfect. He called at least 10 doctors, 4 of them, which were like his everyday doctors.
Correct.
Like, no, I'm not writing it. I'm not a weight loss specialist. I'm not writing it. Got turned down because he was going to be able to get it through insurance. I'm like, for like $100 or whatever extra dollars a month, you could just do it again with.
And I do understand
why
they don't order it, because personally, the prior authorization process and the amount of things you have to prove for that patient just to get them this medication.
Right.
I understand it.
Yeah.
But I do see the frustration of these
How
providers.
frustrated that patient that was supposed to go to a name brand pharmacy and it wasn't ready, and they told him 3 days later, and it just was never coming.
And now it's a gap in care.
Exactly.
It's a gap in care. And now you just wouldn't see this happening with other medications, and I understand it's new and it's popular, but that is where I do think there is a place for us to continue on with your current regimen.
100%.
I don't want to play, I'm not trying to mess with your dosing, but I do think I'd rather you continue than have a gap in care and be going weeks without it, because now you're just confusing your body.
Yeah. So we'll tell you what it's like when you actually start the program and the whole entire process.
Right.
So I'm going to share mine. You guys correct me, because I'm sure things are different now since it was over a year ago.
Maybe.
A little bit.
let's say.
So I walk into the med spa, say hi, and then we go into a room, talk to Nurse Meg. She kind of just goes over.
You missed the intake form.
Oh, shit. All right, you walk.
You don't walk anywhere.
You don't walk
You click on the
You
Instagram.
do not
Go to our entry. You go to the intake form. You fill it out.
My friend called me there. She's like, my friend's on the way to speak to somebody about weight loss. I'm like, no.
Get out.
You gotta fill out the form.
Don't have her come. This is not the way it works.
Yeah.
I hide in my room for this reason, because if they catch my face or
get
the
you.
jacket,
They'll get you.
No.
yes.
Yeah.
No.
So anyway, you fill out the form first, and then you guys will call.
The Google Doc.
Fill out the form. Contraindications will kick you out immediately. I think that's better, right? Why fill out that form and not even realize that you have a major contraindication, whether you're breastfeeding, pregnant, planning on becoming pregnant, you have a history of medullary thyroid cancer, a personal or family history of that. There's certain contraindications. I don't want to waste your time. We don't want your money, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not fair
So
to
if
you.
you feel like there's something before you do that form, can they call and ask if this is something you
They
pick them
can.
up?
We have a lot of information out there, but the
Yeah.
form will direct them to say, unfortunately, you're not a candidate because of XYZ.
Oh,
so it's
perfect.
pretty clear.
Okay.
You fill out your form, right?
Okay.
You submit your ID and insurance. We then send a prescription to LabCorp or Quest for blood work.
Okay. And you
That
do
is
it
the process
in-house now
that we
too,
now
right?
offer in-house.
Yep.
We
Which is so
still
great.
Yeah.
offer it through LabCorp and Quest. This is a big question. Yes, there is a draw fee, because we are working, right? We're providing a service, but we are going through your insurance to process the labs. So this is not like a private lab or a cash pay situation, but the billing of the labs is through your LabCorp request through your insurance.
So your insurance still covers it, but the draw fee is there
convenience
for
fee.
obviously for
Yeah,
you guys, right?
convenience.
Correct.
So come fast.
24-hour turnaround time, which is amazing in terms of labs are drawn.
that's
Next
great.
day, we get the fax
Yeah.
results. We then review the labs. If there's any questions, one of your medical providers will reach out to you
Which
via
is
email.
amazing, because everyone wants to start like that.
Correct.
Which I get, so did
You're
I.
in, we greenlight you. Then one of our, a member of our management will notify you to say that you're approved, and then starts the whole walking
Then
into the
that's fun.
office,
Now you
saying
can walk
hi.
That's my favorite part.
Yes, getting your Pellegrino or your water.
You feel like a celebrity. You're like, hey, saying
are
hi
a
to everyone.
celebrity.
I love it. It's so fun. I love
So that hasn't changed.
Okay, good. And then you'll get on the scale. in
So
that
the
same
consultation is with a nurse practitioner. So myself or one of my peers, who we were all trained the same way, so it should be the same regardless of who you meet with. They sit with you for 30 minutes. We do a body composition analysis. We review your medical history. We review the program. We do send you a follow-up with the consultation summary. So people are coming in with their notepads, and that's fine, but it's a lot of information.
Yeah, it'll
so we
come
send
to
it to
you.
you.
Yeah.
And then you're free to start that day if you choose. I have probably 9 out of 10 patients who start that day.
Yeah.
Reasons why people don't, because that's a big question.
Vacation.
If they're going on vacations that weekend, maybe they're just nervous, big events, surgeries,
Right.
anything that's making me think this is not a good time for you,
Right.
you did the consultation. That's half the
Right.
battle. Now, when you want to start, you let us know, and you start a 4-week trial.
Perfect. It's the best, guys. I think we covered everything.
Yeah.
I think that this was a really good start. The future of this podcast, we want to really, like I said in the beginning, hone in on all of the things that I maybe can't talk about, share experiences. I have so many questions on my phone from people that we want to cover. A lot of really crazy topics that people really don't talk about. So we are going to try to hit all of that. So that's some exciting things that you guys can look forward to coming in the next couple of weeks/months. But we hope you guys enjoyed it, and we look forward to educating you guys for who knows how long.
Until they're sick of us.
Yeah, literally. Bye.
Bye.